Is 6:02. Noting the time is 6:02, I'll call this meeting to order. Thank you for joining us for this pre-mapping public hearing of the County of San Diego's Independent Redistricting Commission, also known as the IRC. It is a great honor again to be here today to conduct the next of the IRC's pre-mapping public hearings, to hear from you, the public, about your communities, the input we'll take today from you on your neighborhood, your district boundaries, your communities of interest, what we need to know about you as we undertake our mission. I want to thank our hosts here at the Escondido Chamber of Commerce, as well as our staff and our contractors, and most of all, the members of the public for joining us today. Today's hearing is the latest in a series of IRC public hearings intended primarily as listening sessions for us, the IRC, to hear from you, the public. Our purpose here today is to listen and learn as much as we can about your communities. For now, I'll begin by saying that the information we hear from you about your community and about the factors affecting your community are critical for the IRC, as it will inform the work that we have to undertake of drawing new boundaries for the 5 members, or the election of the 5 members, I should say, of the County Board of Supervisors. For that reason, hearing from the public at these pre-mapping hearings intentionally comes before we begin drawing lines and drawing up maps, the work that we will take up as the IRC beginning in early October. I also want to offer my apologies for not being with you in person tonight due to some COVID-19 close contact protocols. I want to assure my fellow commissioners and members of the public that I will participate and attend to the meeting with the same level of commitment and interest and appreciation as if I was there in person. I know several other commissioners are participating virtually for various reasons, and a few are not able to join us today, but I know all of them will also join and attend with full appreciation, either now or in the case of those absent, we'll catch up later. With all that in mind, I'll begin the formal proceedings by asking our clerk, David Hall, to provide additional information about today's meeting. David.
Thank you, Chair Boehm. At this time, I will invite any members of the public who wish to speak to the Commission during today's meeting to please review the instructions posted on the redistricting website at sandiegocounty.gov/redistricting. We ask that individuals who wish to speak to the Commission complete a form in advance for planning purposes. Individuals participating remotely are asked to submit an online request, and all individuals wishing to speak in person can complete a physical speaker slip, and staff has speaker slips available. All timely requests to speak from the public made at today's meeting, either in person or remotely, will be honored regardless of whether you have submitted an advanced request. Thank you, Chair Boehm.
Very good. Thank you, David. We'll now move to the roll call. David, could you please call the roll?
Thank you. And I would like to note for the audio record that some commissioners are participating via teleconference. I'd ask that commissioners say here or present when I call your name. Chair Boehm.
Here.
Vice Chair Caterina.
Here.
Vice Chair Garcia. Commissioner Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Chen.
Here.
Commissioner Diaz. Commissioner Dostal. Commissioner Hansen.
Here.
Commissioner Inman.
Here.
Commissioner Krugliak.
Here.
Commissioner Larson.
Here.
Commissioner Pons.
Here.
Commissioner Russ.
Here.
Commissioner Serbin. Thank you, Chair Boehm. We do have a quorum.
Thank you very much, David. So to kick off tonight's public hearing, I'd like to turn to Co-Vice Chair Amy Caterina to begin the presentation. Amy, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Boehm. I'll give staff a minute to get the slide presentation up, but I can start by telling you a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. We will begin with a brief presentation, as you can see on screen. First, we will be providing a refresher on redistricting. Second, we will explain what to expect in this redistricting pre-mapping public hearing. Third, we will provide a brief overview of our community builder tool. And finally, most importantly, it will be your turn. We need your input because, as you will find out, your participation is very important to us. And to help us understand who is attending these public hearings and to ensure we are reaching as many people as possible, please fill out the postcards on your seats or hand it out when you arrive. If you are joining us virtually, please visit the website to fill out the voluntary survey. Next slide, please. So what is redistricting in San Diego County? Let me tell you. Redistricting is the process of redrawing district boundaries for each of our 5 supervisorial districts so that each has a reasonably equal populations. We redraw new boundaries every 10 years based on census data. And as you know, our federal government conducts a census every 10 years when it counts all individuals residing in the US at the location where they live. The census data reveals what population changes have occurred in the past 10 years. And there are usually quite a few changes, growth in some areas, declines in others, for example. We redistrict or draw new district boundaries to rebalance the district for fairness and equal representation. Next slide, thank you. The criteria to draw new boundaries. There are specific criteria that the IRC is required by law to use. The criteria are listed in the order of priority in which they must be applied. First, districts must be of reasonably equal population. This rule is required by the US Constitution. Second, we must create a map that complies with the Federal Voting Rights Act to ensure that minorities have fair opportunity to elect representatives of their choice. Third, districts must be contiguous so that all parts of the district are connected to each other. Fourth, districts must minimize the division of cities, neighborhoods, and communities of interest to the extent possible. Fifth, districts should be geographically compact such that nearby areas of population are not bypassed for more distant population. This requirement refers to density, not shape. In addition, we cannot consider the place of residence of any incumbent or political candidate in the creation of a map. Nor can we draw districts for the purpose of favoring or discriminating against an incumbent political candidate or political party. The changing map on the right reflects the changes in our county's district boundaries from 1991 through 2011. There are additional criteria that apply only to San Diego County. 3 of the 5 districts must include unincorporated areas. 2 of these districts must be comprised primarily of unincorporated areas. As a point of reference, San Diego County includes 18 incorporated cities, mostly in the western part of the county, as you can see on the map. But much of the county is unincorporated territory or land outside the boundaries of the 18 incorporated cities. And on this slide, you can see District 3 and how it encompasses the most central part of the county. And this is a district that I live in, which is one of the reasons I'm giving you the presentation today. The region spans from Carmel Valley to Tierra Santa and Escondido to Encinitas. These sets of neighborhoods consist of nearly 700,000 residents who are economically, ethnically, and generationally diverse. District 3 includes 5 incorporated cities, including nearly a dozen distinct neighborhoods within the city of San Diego. The southwest boundary includes Sorrento Valley and Torrey Pines Mesa, where there is a thriving hub of pharmaceutical and biotechnology companies that are pioneering and revolutionizing DNA and stem cell research. Many of San Diego County's beautiful beaches and coastal landscapes can be found on the western edge of District 3 in communities like my hometown of Del Mar, Solana Beach, Cardiff by the Sea, Encinitas, and Leucadia. The inland regions of these district feature mountains and hillsides among open canyon preserves. So the next question is, why does redistricting matter? Redistricting matters because how maps are drawn and how communities and neighborhoods get grouped together or separated can affect whose voices are heard on election day for the next decade. Redistricting done properly ensures that communities have a fair chance to elect a representative of their choice. In the IRC's case, we will draw new district boundaries for the 5 members of the Board of Supervisors, the governing body of the County of San Diego. The Board of Supervisors are responsible for making decisions about how the county's budget gets allocated. The slide shows the county's budget for the current fiscal year and a small sample of the responsibilities of the board. County supervisors make decisions about these things that affect you, so your ability to have a fair chance at electing a supervisor who represents you is why redistricting is so important. We define, excuse me, we define redistricting and describe the criteria we'll use. Now I'll explain what information or data we will use for redistricting. It comes primarily from two sources. First, we have the 2020 census data obtained from the 2020 census count. We will provide a quick peek at some numbers from the census in a moment. Second, we will use public input, information we gather from you, to help us learn about and understand communities of interest. And I want to check and see if Commissioner Serban, who also lives in District 3, is available to continue the presentation, because we will be talking about communities of interest. Barbara, has Commissioner Serban signed in yet?
Commissioner Serban is present.
Excellent. Hi, Commissioner Serban, how are you? I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner Serban, who will talk a little bit more about communities of interest.
Thank you, Commissioner Katarina. So I, like Commissioner Katarina, I'm also a resident of what is currently District 3. So I'm very happy to be here, and thank you all to all of you who are here in attendance, as well as to everyone joining us by Zoom. So what are communities of interest? A community of interest, or COI for short, is a contiguous population that shares common social or economic interests that should be grouped together within a single district for purposes of its effective and fair representation. Communities of interest are not defined by their relationships with political parties, incumbents, or political candidates. A COI might be defined by a common culture or a common language, but there are many other ways to define a COI. A neighborhood that is adjacent to a shipping port could identify itself as a COI, for example, because it shares common interests pertaining to dealing with the impacts or effects of having a shipping port as a neighbor. Information about COIs come from the public, from people telling us about their COI. The census data will give us some information about neighborhoods and communities, but it won't necessarily tell us about issues and concerns that bring a community together. Here are some questions to help you identify and define your COI. Does your neighborhood share certain celebrations or traditions, like street festivals or parades? Are there important places where your community gathers, like parks or community centers? What is the history of your community? Other questions you may ask: are you part of a community who has issues that have not been adequately addressed by your elected representatives? Has your community come together to advocate for important services, better schools, roads, or health centers in your neighborhood? Have you worked for more recognition or support of your community, like having holidays recognized or historical events commemorated? Public hearings like this one today are expressly offered for the purpose of hearing from the public about their community, and especially about communities of interest. We hope you've heard how important your input is to us. Here are the ways you can provide it. Provide input at this public hearing or any of our future public hearings. We have 4 more coming up. Find the dates and times at our website. That website is drawyourcommunity.com. Submit written testimony at any time, email, regular mail. Draw a map and submit it. You can do so using the Community Builder tool, or you can draw one on paper and send it to us in the mail. In all cases, please provide as much detail as you can about your community and the characteristics or issues that bind you together and why you should not be separated. The Community Builder tool developed by Flow Analytics is available through the county's redistricting website. This tool is designed to help the public submit information about their community to the IRC. We understand that we can't simply download data from the internet for every community of interest. So We really encourage members of the public to use this tool to help us gather the data that we can't find on the internet. It's a critical part of this process, and Flow has tried to make the tool as accessible and user-friendly as possible. If you follow the steps on the screen, it will take you to the tool where you can find instructions and an animated GIF that will show you how to use it. And now we want to move away from just talking about it and show the actual 2010 and 2020 census population totals for the current supervisorial districts. This table shows both 2010 and 2020 population totals for the County of San Diego and each of the current 5 supervisorial districts. The ideal population is the total population divided by 5. It's the population that this redistricting process will try to achieve for each district. Percent deviation is district population divided by ideal population. This shows as a percentage how far a district is from the ideal value. One goal of redistricting is to get these deviations as close to 0 as possible. As close to 0 as reasonable. By definition, the 2010 districts do have reasonably equal populations. And as expected, changes have occurred over the last 10 years such that districts now are more out of balance. In 2010, the ideal population was 619,063. Due to population growth, that has increased to 659,727. Because that growth was uneven across districts, District 3's deviation is now over the ideal by 1.7%. That has changed from 2010, where it was under the ideal by only 0.2%. District 1 is now under the ideal by 2.8%. In 2010, it was under by 1.5%. The overall range, defined as the largest deviation minus the smallest deviation, has increased, going from 2.7% to 4.5%. For reference, the calculation for 2010 is 1.2% minus negative 1.5%, and for 2010, 1.7% minus negative 2.8%. So this is the unadjusted census data. This table shows the population changes behind the increased overall range for 2020. The overall county growth rate from 2010 to 2020 is 6.6%. District 3 grew faster than the county at 8.6%, and so had an increased deviation for 2020. District 1 grew slower than the county at 5.2%, and so has a reduced deviation. So by law, the County of San Diego Independent Redistricting Commission must hold public meetings. We've regularly scheduled IRC meetings twice monthly and gather public testimony through public hearings before we draft maps so that we can learn about the community and especially about communities of interest. We must also draft maps and conduct more public hearings on the draft maps. Lastly, after we've gone through a public, transparent process, we will adopt the final map that will be used for County Board of Supervisor elections for the next decade. We are an independent commission of citizen volunteers. We operate completely independently from the influence of our elected officials, and we are responsible only to you, the public, in our duty to draw fair and accurate maps for the county. With that in mind, we have scheduled 8 pre-mapping public hearings, including one in each district. You'll see on the slide the schedule of remaining hearings. This schedule is also posted at our website. The website you can reach by entering URL drawyourcommunity.com. Here is a timeline that shows the activities and the timing that the IRC is planning from now until the final map is adopted. We are currently in the pre-mapping public hearing stage through the end of September. The US Census Bureau recently released the raw data to the states. That data is being processed by the state to create California's official redistricting database. We expect to receive that official database in late September. Then begins the drawing of draft maps shortly thereafter, in early to mid-October. Each draft map will be published for public comment, and we will also be holding at least 2 public hearings during this map drawing phase to hear from the public about the proposed new district boundaries. Finally, we will adopt a final map for the county. The current deadline for final map adoption is December 15th. However, the dates, including the final map adoption deadline, are subject to change. A quick comment on why our timeline is subject to change. You may know that the census data was delayed. In fact, it was delayed more than once. The IRC has officially requested an extension of the deadline to January 14th, 2022 in response to the most recent delays. So stay tuned. Our priority is to ensure that the public has ample opportunity to participate in the redistricting process, and to also ensure that we, the IRC, has the time that we need to gather all the information to draw fair and accurate maps. We are committed to ensuring this is the case, whether the deadline remains or whether it's extended. We would love for you to participate, and please stay involved. If you have questions or comments about anything regarding redistricting, doesn't have to be about communities of interest, it can be about anything, please contact us. The slide here has all of our contact information. Any information you seek can be found at our website, including links to the Community Builder tool, FAQs, emails, how to subscribe to our newsletter, our meeting agendas, our schedules, all of that. So this concludes the overview presentation to kick off this pre-mapping public hearing. And now we get to the heart of why we're here, to listen to the public. At this time, I'd like to turn to our clerk, David Hall, to tell us about any public speakers. David?
Thank you, Commissioner Servin. We have 6 speakers who have requested to address the commission in person and 7 who have requested to address the commission remotely. I'd also like to note for the record that we received 34 e-comments and 1 letter for this hearing that have been or will be distributed to the commission and posted online. The commission will first hear from those in person who have submitted requests to speak. Next, I will call on those who are participating remotely who have submitted requests to speak. Then we will hear any remaining public comment from those present. Even if you haven't filled out a speaker slip or choose not to give your name, the commission would welcome your comments. Finally, we'll hear from any remaining public comment from those participating remotely. And each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the commission. So I'll begin by calling the in-person speakers who have submitted a request to speak form. When your name is called, please come to the podium. And if you are amenable to doing so, please state your name for the record as you begin your comments. We'll begin with Rob Howard, followed by Dan O'Donnell and Sharon Jenkins. Please come to the microphone. You'll have 3 minutes to address the commission. And again, if you're agreeable to doing so, please begin your comments with your name for the public record.
Okay, and you just gave my name too, so.
I just gave your name.
Rob Howard, I'm an Oceanside resident and a Navy veteran. I live in, again, on the eastern part of Oceanside. My comments are really focused on what I consider our community of interest. For me, as a volunteer, I spent 30 years working at San Onofre, but that gave me the opportunity to spend a lot of time in the community. The 78 corridor, why is that so important? You're talking where 78 is right there with Carlsbad and Oceanside, goes east through Vista, San Marcos, and Escondido. Right now, we are in Escondido in District 3, which for me requires us for the work we do around youth development, around education, around job corridors, and job development, particularly because we have Maricosta, Palomar, and Cal State San Marcos. We're having to talk to 2 supervisors when we're trying to get work done in those communities when we should be talking to 1. Now, there's some other pieces around that could possibly be put together, but with education, transportation on the coast, we have an issue of building up tourism. Problem is, most of the people who are working in the tourism industry can't live in that area because they can't afford it. So we need that 78 corridor to be one contiguous, is contiguous the right word? Y'all know which word I'm talking about. So we need it to be put together where we can also work towards the transportation to get people back and forth to those jobs, mass transit. So between education, transportation, jobs, we also have Maricosta's doing the biotech area, education, and we have biotech companies, but again, affordability of housing to move everyone across that area. We also have a huge number of youth-related issues when it comes to us trying to figure out ways to help them manage this economy. Because again, when I came to Oceanside, I was lucky enough to purchase a home during a recession. But right now, you all know what the housing situation is. So I guess for me, the biggest thing is for us, for the commissioners to really focus on looking at the maps as they are now and ask yourself, why is Escondido in 3 and then another carve out piece that's in 5? It just doesn't make sense. Now, because you are independent, I have a lot more positive feelings about what your product will be. Your product, we have an opportunity to fix these issues. So again, 78 corridor, ensuring that we have our transportation area, education, jobs, it all comes together in that area. And again, Rob Howard, Oceanside resident, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'm not sure, Dan O'Donnell. Thank you. Followed by Sharon Jenkins and then Juan Vargas.
I don't know if I can sum that up better than Rob, so thank you for your comments. Members of the commission, thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Dan O'Donnell. I'm a resident in Vista. I also just want to touch on the 78 corridor because the 78 isn't just another highway. It's a bridge between our cities that connects Oceanside, Carlsbad, San Marcos, Vista, and Escondido. We are a community of shared resources. It connects our school districts, our shopping malls, employment, colleges, and businesses. Beyond that, we all fall underneath the umbrella of Innovate 78, which supports our business infrastructure, our economic ecosystem, and it's a melting pot of shared resources, including microbreweries and restaurants, information and medical technology, as well as healthcare and green energy. But most importantly, our communities lean on one another and contribute to each other's success, which is why Oceanside, Carlsbad, San Marcos, Vista, and Escondido should be represented by one district. So again, my name is Dan O'Donnell. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Sharon Jenkins, followed by Juan Vargas and then Consuelo Martinez.
Thank you to the chair and the commission members for the opportunity to speak. I've submitted my comments online and feel it's important to also deliver them in person. My name is Sharon Jenkins. I've lived in San Marcos for 50 years. I served 14 years as a school board member and currently have served as a council member for 9 years. As a North County resident, I strongly urge you this evening to maintain a unified North County supervisor district. While we are all residents of San Diego County, the various regions of the county have much different needs and interests. In North County, we are interconnected with Cal State, San Marcos, Palomar, and Maricosta colleges, Palomar and Tri-City hospitals. Our San Marcos Fire Protection District serves beyond our city boundaries and includes multiple county areas such as Lake San Marcos and others. As a board member with North County Transit District, we serve a transit area that is much different than the needs MTS serves in San Diego and East County. Several years ago, the 5 cities along the 78 created Innovate 78 so they could work more collaboratively on economic development. I ask that you try to understand how much our North County incorporated cities and unincorporated county areas are interconnected. Please allow us to maintain our unified collaborative North County approach and be represented by one county supervisor. A split of our supervisory district would not be in the best interest of our residents. I urge you to respect what has worked well for us in North County. Thank you to each of you for volunteering your time.
Thank you. Juan Vargas, if you're present, you're welcome to come forward, followed by Consuelo Martinez and then Ed Gallo.
Hello, folks. You said my name is Juan Vargas. I'm a resident here of Escondido, currently District 3. I mean, I couldn't really have said it better than these folks earlier. I think it's super important, again, to really keep the 78 corridor into one area. Like Rob said, working with multiple supervisors for different issues that happen throughout our county is definitely problematic, and it doesn't really help our residents in those areas. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet because everyone has said really amazing things already. But I'm going to echo what the compañero Rob Howard said, and just make sure that we're keeping us within that realm of keeping the 78 corridor under one specific area. Thank you.
Thank you. Consuelo Martinez and then Ed Gallo.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for bringing this meeting to the city of Escondido. My name is Consuelo Martinez, and I've grown up here in Escondido since the age of 4. I've been very involved in my community for over 2 decades, and I currently serve on the city council here for the city. I believe that North County should stay together in the supervisor district. I consider North County to be the cities along the 78 corridor, Escondido, San Marcos, Vista, Oceanside. And yes, Carlsbad is part of that too. Also, I think it's important to lift up that our neighbor to the east, Valley Center, does their shopping here. We are that big city where they come to grocery shop. And so I very much also consider Valley Center part of our community. And I think it's very important that we all stay together. The inland cities of North County, Escondido, San Marcos, and Vista are very similar communities. We're a heavily Latino community, very diverse. Many of our residents are renters. And so I definitely think it's important, like I said, the 78 corridor, but especially the communities of Escondido, Vista, and San Marcos should be together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have to raise the bar a little bit here. Okay, Ed Gallo, I'm a resident of Escondido since 1973. This is very important to me. I have tried since 2010 when Escondido was taken out of District 5. I won't go into the reasons why that happened, but putting us back into District 5 is politically volatile, but it's something that should be done. This guy hit the nail on the head, as this guy did. I was involved with Innovate 78 because I served on the city council for 16 years. And that's an economic development engine for North County. We belong in District 5 with Vista, San Marcos, Oceanside, and Carlsbad. It's going to be a tough job for you guys to move us out of District 3. Okay, I understand that. But just because it's tough doesn't mean that it shouldn't be done. It should be done for mostly the economic development portion of it. We shouldn't have to talk to 2 different supervisors to get something done. Thank you. This guy hit every nail on the head. I'm so impressed that everybody has the same feeling that we belong in North County. I mean, we are North County. In fact, when I moved here in 1973, the Chamber of Commerce motto was the hub of North County. We ain't the hub anymore. They took us out. That was wrong to do. I've voiced my opposition to that ever since it happened to various supervisors over the years. But now we have a chance, maybe. I looked at the population figures, et cetera, et cetera. So it looks like there's an opportunity to craft us out of District 3 and into District 5 because District 3 population is a little bit higher than the rest of the districts. I don't know how you're going to do it. Believe me, when Escondido went through the districting thing, I watched the people work on that map and I thought, I think I'd shoot myself if I was on that committee. And I give you guys a lot of credit for taking the guts to take on this challenge. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll now turn to those who are participating remotely and who have submitted an advanced request to speak. You'll see or hear a notification that you've been unmuted, and you'll have 3 minutes to address the commission. I'll begin with Wayne Dernitz. Mr. Dernitz, you may have to press *6 on your phone in order to unmute yourself.
Good evening, members of the Independent Redistricting Commission, and I want to thank you for your service to our community. My name is Wayne Dernitz. I'm a resident of the city of Del Mar since 1973. I have been a close student of government and political affairs in San Diego County since then. I've served in public office in the city of Del Mar, the city of Carlsbad, and the city of Vista. I have submitted a written letter to the commission, and I won't go over all the details there. I will just say that I provide my recollection of the history of how District 3 came into being. My recollection was it was following the 2000 census, but I'm not certain about that. I'm trying to check that with the county recorder. I also provide a list of reasons why I believe I agree with all of the speakers who came before me that the North County tier of cities from Oceanside, perhaps Carlsbad, out to Escondido and beyond, should be in their own community of interest and in District 5. As a resident of Del Mar, I see the community of interest here is for the coastal cities extending from Oceanside or Carlsbad southward into Point Loma and perhaps Pacific Beach. But there's fine tuning to be done when you get the actual numbers, population, and I leave that to you. I also provided a bit of background about myself and what my experience and education has been in the county. To sum up, I recommend removing the city of Escondido from District 3, adding the incorporated communities of San Dieguito and Rancho Santa Fe to District 3, adding the city of Carlsbad to the district if necessary to reach population goals, but not including the city of Oceanside in District 3, and adjusting the southern boundary of District 3 according to population balancing requirements. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll now move to Diana Aguirre. You have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Good afternoon. My name is Diana Aguirre, and I am a Carlsbad resident. First, I'd like to thank the commission for taking on this big role. I appreciate that. I'm calling because I think it's important to consider the Palomar Airport, as the Palomar Airport affects the city of Carlsbad, Oceanside, San Marcos, and Vista. There are a lot of impacts to these communities, and that's why I believe it's important to keep these cities as part of D5. The other piece of it is the Tri-City Healthcare, which is a community hospital provider group that serves many of our community members. Again, I believe that's why it's important to keep Carlsbad and the other cities I mentioned, such as Vista, San Marcos, and Oceanside, in the same district. The other point I think that's also important is just to ensure that the Latino community is well represented within D5. So thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. I'll now turn to Timothy O'Healy. You have 3 minutes to address the commission.
My name is Tim O'Healy. I am a resident of Carlsbad and a Marine Corps veteran. I have been an active member of our veteran community for several years. I am asking our commissioners to keep the cities in the Highway 78 corridor, Carlsbad, Oceanside, Vista, San Marcos, and Escondido together in the same district. These cities combined have one of the largest concentrations of active duty military and veteran populations in the country. North County is home to Camp Pendleton, and we have a significant number of residents that have served our country and have made the Highway 78 corridor their home. Later this month, we're holding North County Stand Down, an event bringing together our veterans who have served our country and now experience challenges in North County. This 4-day event is being hosted in the city of Vista, but the outreach will expand across our major cities along the 78 corridor. This is a critical time to do the most for our region. I urge the commission to allow veteran and active duty military families in Escondido, San Marcos, Vista, Oceanside, and Carlsbad to have a unified voice in our community. We have earned it. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Now I'll turn to Peter Whitted. You have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Thank you for the opportunity to share with you. My name is Peter Whitted. I'm a resident of San Marcos, and I work in all of North County as a realtor and also own a contract cleaning company. As a resident of North County for nearly 3 years, I've lived in Oceanside, Carlsbad, and for the last 10 years, I've been in San Marcos. I've watched it grow and develop and cooperatively work together to solve its challenges. We definitely are a community of mutual interests. It's important that we have one supervisor to represent all of these cities together and the unincorporated area of North County. I'd like to give you a couple of examples of the why. We've heard about the 78, talked about quite a bit, but understand that the reason that it has grown into the 6-lane freeway that it currently is because of the need of moving these people through the North County area. It originally started as a 2-lane highway. Let me give you one more example, and that is the runoff that comes from the rain shed in the mountains of Escondido that travels into San Marcos and then into Lake San Marcos, which then, when it's spilling over, goes down into Carlsbad. The care and cleaning of these areas, our concerns, have been addressed through the cooperation and design, much of which is going on right now in San Marcos with the Creekside project. We are interconnected, and having one supervisor who is responsible for all of North County is important. We unite these communities and cities and the unincorporated areas with a strong sense of the residents, North County residents. We are not San Diego. We are not East County. We are not South Bay. We are North County. We are all very fortunate to live in a county with very distinct areas. We urge that you respect these community interests and please maintain a unified North County represented by one supervisor. I thank you very much.
Thank you. Now turn to Chad Spinks. You have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to speak today. And I just want to echo a lot of the sentiments that everybody is speaking today, and the importance of having a unified community along the 78 corridor. I am a Vista resident. I've lived in Vista for 20 years, and I am a homeowner. And it takes 2 minutes looking at the current districting map to see where some of the inequities lie in our community in terms of transit and transportation. I've yet to see a bike path be completed along the rail trail. We've had the Sprinter for over 20 years, but we're still waiting on a bike path. So there's, numerous things that need to be addressed in this community, and it's a strong community and a very diverse community, and we need to keep it into a unified representation. And that's all I would like to say. And thanks for allowing us to speak today.
Thank you. Laura Hunter, you have 3 minutes to address the commission. Laura Hunter, you may need to unmute yourself.
Yes, there we go. Hi,
Okay.
Thank you so much for allowing me to speak tonight. My name's Laura Hunter. I'm a resident of Escondido and I've lived here for 30 years. I request that the commission, as part of your decision, there are two critical aspects for our community of interest that I hope you will reflect on. First, the complete, you've heard it tonight a lot. The first, to complete the 78 corridor, including the 5 cities of Carlsbad, Oceanside, Vista, San Marcos, and Escondido, should be included in one district as one community of interest. Second, as others have said tonight, I ask that Escondido no longer be broken up into multiple districts. This has not served us well at all. And I ask that it be included as a whole with the other 78 corridors. We have shared economic, cultural, educational, and medical ties, and we are a very close-knit region in that way. I'm also an active volunteer in my community, and my community of interest also includes my neighbors and local residents who work on environmental and climate protection. It is very important that these 5 cities, which are all part of the multiple habitats conservation planning areas, and cities served by the Sprinter and other rail-based transit, be included in a community of interest. Last, these cities are all growing, urbanizing areas and are going to be really critical for the effective deployment of integrated climate solutions in terms of climate policy, transportation, transit upgrades, climate and clean energy projects, and planning and development of moderate and affordable housing. So I think you're hearing kind of the same thing from everyone. And thank you so much for your time and the really hard work that you're doing on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Hazim Nizam, you have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the commission and my brilliant friends who are testifying today. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Tazeen Nizam, and I serve as the director of the San Diego chapter of Council on American Islamic Relations. I've been a resident of Vista, which is in D5, for 17 years. My community of interest is the Muslim and immigrants and refugee and children of immigrants and refugee community. Across the 78, our community has shared languages, cultural practices, food, and common goals for our children and families, and most importantly, our places of worship. For many years, our communities have paid taxes, contributed to economic and cultural vibrancy of Escondido, Vista, San Marcos, Escondido, Oceanside, as entrepreneurs and business owners who have set roots into the community, healthcare providers, engineers, and lots of people from different walks of life. But unfortunately, we have lacked representation and visibility due to the way which the lines have drawn. Our communities have been divided by the district lines. As my friend Rob Howard mentioned, when I work to get advocacy for the incoming refugee populations, I have to divide my ask and my asking ability into 2 different districts. The Muslim community of interest in North County must be maintained in a single district to ensure representation and the distribution of critical resources coming back to our community. We hope that you don't ignore our community and the months of participation and feedback we've provided in engaging people that have come on different tables. Thank you for the opportunity to testify and make our voices heard as a community. We look forward to working with you through the redistricting process to ensure that our community is represented. We'll see you again at the next hearing. Good night.
Thank you. Hope Nelson, you have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Great. Respected commissioners, my name is Hope Nelson. I've lived in Carlsbad for 21 years. I'm also president of Citizens for a Friendly Airport. I'm sympathetic to the task you have in appropriately districting San Diego County and respect the variety of opinions being expressed. I spoke on August 12, 2021, and now that the census numbers are out, need to correct some of my comments. I continue to believe that McClellan-Palomar Airport is the one singular property that has the potential to change North County forever. The majority of impact would be to the communities of Oceanside, Vista, San Marcos, and Escondido, as well as Carlsbad, which is where the airport is geographically located. If those communities are not feeling the impact currently, just like sea level rise may not impact all coastal communities today, the potential for impact to them is enormous. The airport impact is noise pollution, which is disruptive to kids and teachers trying to conduct class activity, as well as disruptive to sleep. Importantly, we are also talking about aircraft GHGs, which leave communities within a 10-mile radius most vulnerable to dangerous pollutants like particulate matter, nitrogen oxides, and hazardous air pollutants that impact lungs and breathing. Now that the census numbers are out, I am confident that unincorporated Escondido can be added to our current District 5, consisting of incorporated Escondido, Oceanside, Vista, San Marcos, and Carlsbad. The communities that suffer the greatest impact deserve a communal voice. That won't happen if Carlsbad and the airport are separated from the other impacted communities. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I'll now turn to those speakers who did not submit an advance request to speak, first in person and then virtually. Our in-person speakers will begin with Marcella Nunez Alvarez, followed by Lillian Serrano. Please approach the microphone and you'll have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Buenas tardes. Good evening. My name is Marcella Nunez Alvarez, and I live in San Marcos now for almost 40 years. I am a co-director of Universidad Popular. We are a community-based organization dedicated to promoting education and civic engagement. I urge the commission in this important process to correct the gerrymandering that happened 10 years ago. That process of a decade ago diluted the voting power of my community, the Latino community. It pulled out Escondido from the rest of North County. Our community of Latinos is concentrated along the 78 corridor. We are a protected class, and our political power has been diluted. We ask that you re-enfranchise us and allow our community to gain the representation that we are entitled to. We have never had a Latino representative in the Board of Supervisors, even though we are half of the population along the 78 corridor. It's long overdue, and it's time to unite North County. Thank you.
Thank you. Lillian Serrano.
Good evening. My name is Lilian Serrano, and I'm an Escondido resident. I've been living in this city for almost 10 years and in the larger North County community for over 12. I have spent all those years developing as a young professional, working, specializing with immigrant families, Spanish-speaking families, Latinos, all throughout the communities of Escondido, San Marcos, Vista, Oceanside, Fallbrook, Pama Valley, Pala, Rincon, and Valley Center. Those are the communities in North County with high concentrations of Latinos, Spanish speakers, and immigrants. My primary job has been to connect them with resources and advocate when there's a lack of. And in those many years, it has been almost impossible to work at the county level, given that Escondido was excluded from the North County District. What we're asking from you this time around is to make sure that North County stays together. We need to be able to talk to other residents in our district so we can collectively advocate for the needs. There are many, and like I mentioned, specifically in these communities. My work with the rural side of North County, I know as a fact that Escondido, Valley Center, Pama Valley, and Pala are all connected. The 76 corridor connects us, but so are the needs and just the similarities of our communities. Every week, I'm in the Palma Valley area, and I know that residents from that community drive to my neighborhood in Escondido to do their everyday grocery shopping. That's a 45-minute drive. There's a lot more that connect us than just a grocery store or a corridor, but we are asking for Escondido to be part of the current District 3. We do not belong in District 3, in current District 5. We do not belong in District 3. Thank you.
Thank you. If there is anyone else present who would like to address the commission and hasn't done so already, you're welcome to come forward to the microphone. Not seeing any movement, I will turn to those who are participating remotely. Anyone participating remotely who would like to address the commission, please raise a virtual hand by clicking the raise hand button on Zoom or by pressing *9 if you're dialing in by phone. Begin with Christine Nava. You have 3 minutes to address the commission. Christine, you may need to unmute yourself.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Commissioners, thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for your service. I greatly appreciate the tough job that you have ahead of you. Others have already very aptly pointed out the very same points that I wish to make, but I really want to say that I really urge that we maintain the integrity of the 78 corridor as an urban district, and to include Escondido, Vista, San Marcos, Oceanside, and Carlsbad. We are an urban center that share transportation, economic development, reduction of environmental footprint. We share resources that have to do with infrastructure as improvements, and the list goes on. So I know that time is short, so I just want to say, please keep the integrity of the 78 corridor to include the cities that I've just mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you. And if there are any remaining participants who are remote who would like to address the commission, but who haven't addressed the commission already, please raise a virtual hand. If you've already addressed the commission to provide an equitable opportunity for everybody, I'm not going to call on you twice. Anybody else present who would like to address the commission? Not seeing any further requests and not seeing any movement in the meeting room, Vice Chair Katarina, we now have 35 e-comments on this item, and that concludes the public comments for the IRC's pre-mapping public hearing this evening. Co-Vice Chair Katarina.
Actually, Amy, should I take the floor again, or is that okay?
Absolutely. I
Great.
would love to turn it over to David.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, David. Thank you, commissioners. And most of all, thanks enormously to everyone who came tonight, who participated tonight, who sent letters, who took time out of their busy days to share your thoughts with us this evening. In particular, I do want to thank Mr. Howard, Mr. O'Healy, and anyone else who served our country. Thank you very much for all you've done. Thank you for all you're continuing to do. And I include in that volunteers and everyone who's working on behalf of so many people. It's really appreciated. As you know, the IRC has a very important responsibility to draw the lines for elections to the Board of Supervisors, and we simply cannot do that without your help. Hearing valuable feedback like we've heard this evening only helps us to do our job. So we're grateful for that. I want to ask everyone again who's attending in person to please drop survey cards in the boxes on the way out. And for those participating virtually, whether you spoke or not, please complete an online survey if you can. It just helps us to do our job that much better. Thanks again. And we look forward to any and all of you who want to participate, as well as anyone else watching, to come to our next public hearing, which is on Thursday, September 9th at 5:30 p.m. That will follow our regular meeting that begins at 4 p.m., but we will start that public hearing promptly at 5:30. It will be held at the Valencia Park Malcolm X Library. That's at 5148 Market Street in San Diego. The zip code is 92114, but we will have opportunities for virtual participation again. With that, unless there's any other business or comment to offer, I will adjourn this public hearing at 7:01 p.m. Thank you again. Have a good evening.